welcome to the Lighten Up podcast with Lauren Polly, your invitation for living on the lighter side of life. I'm Lauren Polly, and I am delighted you've chosen to join me today for episode 160, Discovering What's Next for You. This is part one of a three-part podcast series that I'm going to be doing on this delightful topic of what's next. For me, this is like the ultimate life question, especially if you are a trailblazer, someone who is looking to blaze a new trail for yourself, chart a new course, make a change in your life and your living, go into unexplored territories, either outwardly in your career, in your relationships, in business development, in creative pursuits. And then also we have those internal trailblazers who are really looking at the next frontier of more of an inward journey. Those who are looking at peeling away the layers of self-judgment and self-doubt to actually have the life and living you desire. And just wanting to play in the field of possibilities, discovering more of yourself and becoming more actualized and self-expressed in the world. To me, the what's next question is like the biggest question that encompasses all of that and more. It has an innate curiosity and an innate exploratory vibe to it. And no matter what, it is a question that will lead you to more awareness of what you desire in your life and your living. So it's one that I play with a lot in my own world. I would say I am a perpetual what's next kind of gal. I have an innate curiosity about me, and no matter what it is that I learn or achieve or grow into, I'm always curious about how else I can use it, what more I could be getting, what more I could be creating for others, and how to just keep marching forward and pushing that growing edge. Most of the coaching clients that I work with, especially my one-to-one clientele, is focused on this work as well. I'd say no matter what you're looking at in your life, you may or may not be conscious of it, but the question, the underlying pinning of it is the what's next. So this three-part series that we're going to be doing today is going to be about finding or discovering what's next for you, some exploratory work. Next week is going to be about courage, having the courage to actually go for it. And week number 3, oh my goodness, actually having ease along the path of creating it. Doesn't that sound delicious? So we're going to play with some delightful concepts that I have been kind of creating over the last 2 years or so. These interesting conversations I've been having with myself and then also with my coaching clients. These personality types started to emerge. Looking at all these different trailblazers, those looking for outward success and inner fulfillment and really pushing that creative edge, they started to kind of have these personality traits, these energetic capacities, and these amazing strengths to them that unfortunately went unacknowledged or misidentified a lot, or they weren't quite sure how to use it, or that they even had a strength there to begin with. It was kind of funny to look at the ability that we have to utilize everything we have to our advantage, especially in this what's next conversation. And so often we actually have these amazing strengths and capacities to do so, but because they're not quite the norm, or because no one really talks about it in a clear way, we're not able to really utilize the gift that it is. So along these 3 weeks that we're going to be talking about these questions, these life questions of what's next, we're going to also be breaking down these personality types or these archetypes of the trailblazers. I actually developed a really fun quiz. You can pop up on laurenpolly.com/quiz to take a peek and take the quiz yourself. It'll help you identify what your primary archetype is. We all have kind of one big one that we fall into, but also most of us have a mix of everything going on. So beyond that primary one, you may find yourself in the story and the examples of the other ones that I share. And how can you actually start to regain the strengths of all of them to be able to march your life forward in a whole new direction? So today, discovering what is next for you, we're going to dive into 2 of these archetypes, their hiccups and their strengths, and how to undo them. First, we're going to talk about the reluctant hero. The reluctant hero is someone who has a superpower for caring. They are the helpers, the healers of the world, people who are really drawn into helping professions, teachers and therapists and caretakers, caregivers. All of these people usually have a strong component of the reluctant hero. Mothers out there, this is a big one for you as well, so please listen up. So often we have this superpower of caring, which has a depth to it. And we don't acknowledge that. We kind of go, oh yeah, of course I care. I care about the people in my life, and I care about the world, and I care about how I'm seen and how I can contribute. Like, the best day for a reluctant hero is when she is really seen and acknowledged for the support that she can give. And when people are grateful for that support and receive it, that's like the ultimate for her. On the other side of it, on the flip side, her worst day is when she really doesn't give support to anyone, or unfortunately, she's overwhelmed with her own stuff and that bandwidth to care for others isn't there. Or when people don't receive what she has to offer. That's huge for a reluctant hero of bad day number 101, you know? So the reluctant hero, when they're wondering what's next and they're looking at discovering that next step on the path, they get kind of stuck with this superpower of caring, not being able to utilize it because it gets twisted into something different. The caring for others becomes carrying them. If you can imagine having a group of people that you care about so much, but instead of just having that caring and gifting what you can and receiving and also taking care of yourself in the meantime, you instead take all of their troubles, all of their woes, all of the things they can't change but you want to fix for them, stick them on your back and try to march forward that way. Just take a look for yourself where this may be at play. Where have you been wondering what's next for you and your living, but have been unable to have clarity on it because so many other people's needs, expectations, projections, and their relationship, your relationship to them, is standing in the way of that? It's really difficult sometimes for a reluctant hero to take the moment to really tune in and tune to themselves, not in a separation kind of way, but just in a clear way where they can see themselves and what's required without having the filter of what other people need from them. You know, being able to kind of feed yourself and then being able to feed others versus feeding everybody else constantly and always being empty yourself. So for you, if you are a reluctant hero, if that kind of sparks to you, really starting to look at the strength of what you have the ability to care. You have a very caring nature and you will shine in anything you do in that area. What I would challenge you with, and while you're wondering what's next for you, is to start caring enough for yourself to drop the load of everybody else. Right now, even just imagine cutting all of those ties that you have to everybody, all the things that you need to do for other people, all the things you're expected to do for other people, everywhere other people have become bigger in your life than you have been. You just start cutting all of those ties and just get a sense of yourself. It is absolutely okay to care for you and care enough about you and for you to take this exploration of what's next for me in a way that actually puts you, your desires, and what you can create front and center. Now, unfortunately, most people, when they do this, what do? They go into big time reaction and they start fighting, right? Where it's like, I can either care for others or I have to drop everybody and just be selfish for myself. It's actually not so. That's a huge lie at play. Being able to discover what's next for you, that strength and that clarity comes when you're actually willing to include yourself in your life and include others as well. It is not an either or. It's a beautiful, beautiful dance. It's not even a balancing act. It's a dance of what's required for other people, for you to shine in your caring capacity, and be able to care for you while you go about that. The other archetypes I wanted to dig in today is Wonder Woman. Now, Wonder Woman is super interesting, especially in comparison to the reluctant hero. Wonder Woman's baser point of view is not that the day has to be saved, but that she is the one who has to save it. And that kind of knowing that she has, you know, you meet those people, you may be one yourself, where you have this like deep, visceral knowing of like, this is what I'm creating. this is where I'm going. This is what's required to really solve that problem or to create where other things are lacking over here. That's the Wonder Woman. She puts her cape on and she charges forward because she has that superpower of knowing. There's a certainty to her, which is super, super powerful. Unfortunately, the hiccup that comes with it, the flip side to it, if you don't use it in a very clear way, especially on this what's next path for you, is that it gets twisted into tunnel vision. With that knowing, sometimes that guttural sense of this is what's required, this is where I'm going, sometimes our vision of what's possible gets condensed down into only that. Tunnel vision comes, and before you know it, you are charting a course like a mad dog to that one thing, constantly ignoring everything in your sidelines. And in your sidelines may be more support from people. It may be the ability to veer off course a little bit and actually create a richer, deeper journey for yourself. There may be information that actually helps you along the way to reach that goal that you know you're going towards, just to actually make it greater. With this tunnel vision sometimes comes conclusions where you're not really in the what's next question, the exploratory adventure mode. You're actually in a conclusionary mode of this is what's going to occur. That's it. If you can feel into that for a second, it's even hard to talk through it. It's a stopping energy. How much have you taken your knowing? And because you know so deeply, you think you can't actually be in wonderment and exploration and in question anymore. Just like the reluctant hearer with her superpower of caring and her thinking either I care for me or I care for them, it's like impossible to do both. The Wonder Woman has a very similar dynamic. Quite frankly, all 6 of these archetypes do, where we think that, oh, well, if I know that Wonder Woman knows something, then that means that I have to go there and only there. That's a conclusion. That's not a question, and that's actually not an exploratory energy. So it's kind of fascinating. The more you look at this, you can start to see how the strengths people have, what actually can carry them forward, can flip very easy into an either-or situation where they get stuck and use that superpower against themselves. With that Wonder Woman, with that tunnel vision that comes with her knowing and that conclusionary mindset, her work is really to know where she's going, to trust in that knowing, but to also know that the path there may wind around a little bit. It may look different than she thinks it does. The destination may actually change and morph and grow into greater. But that's never going to be a possibility unless she opens herself up, opens her vision up into more exploration, into more wonderment and question. The Wonder Woman thinks the question is doubt. It's not. It's not at all. The question is the power that actually will move you forward with more possibilities available to you. Questioning yourself is one thing, but questioning as you move in a very curious way, that's a totally different power that you have that you may not have harnessed yet. So I again invite you to tune in to next week's podcast and the week after that, where we're going to be diving into the other 4 archetypes, which are the misfit, the dreamer, the underdog, and the CEO. We're discovering kind of their strengths and how it can apply to you while we look at the questions of how to have courage with what's next for you and how to have ease with what's next for you. I think the biggest takeaway from today is to actually start to see where these energies, these kind of hiccups that we have and that we all go through actually are strengths with these archetypes that you can use to build that superpower and move forward with what's next for you. We're all constantly exploring and creating and moving and grooving. How amazing is it to have this content and these conversations to help you along the ride? If you are curious for more right now and actually want a specific assessment of where you are, go check out the quiz. It is super fun, very playful, and you get a lot of great content as a result from it. You can again find that at laurenpolly.com/quiz. And I'll put the URL link down below in the show write-ups for easy access for you all. Have an amazing week, and as always, I will chat with you next Tuesday.